Noises. Noises. Noises means sharing. Sharing, the way it's spelled is actually pronounced sharing.
Sounds like
Not
an accent.
sharing, sharing. But that's sharing. But when you cut the hair of the goat, of the animal, the wool of the animal, in the Mishkan, they needed to have the wool of the goats for the areas, for the tapestries, for the areas that covered the Mishkan. There was a covering, and the materials that were used was wool. Some of the materials was wool, and so you have to cut the hair off the goats, the wool of the goats. So anything that's similar to what was done in the Mishkan is also prohibited. So in the Mishkan was cutting the wool off the goat. And what's similar to that? Similar to that is when you're cutting your hair, you're cutting your nails. Anything that's connected to your body that's meant to come off, that doesn't belong there. So if you have, let's say, dry skin and you tear it off, that's all included in the malacha of goyis shearing, which is anything that's attached to the body, and you're removing it. That's the malacha of goyis shearing. So, obviously, no one cuts their hair on Shabbos, and you don't cut your nails on Shabbos. But sometimes people brush their hair. And when you brush your hair, many times you could be pulling hairs. It's not intentional. You know, we learned in other classes that if it's not intended, not necessarily is an issue. But if it's going to be what's called, we use the term psik reisha, if you remember the last class, psik reisha, something that's a definite act, that's for sure happening. We gave the example, let's say if you're walking outside and you know that there's ants right in front of you, and when you're stepping in, you're going to be killing ants. But it's not your intention to kill these ants. But it's for sure going to happen. You're going to be killing these ants. You're not allowed to step on them. You have to walk around them. If you don't know about it, so you don't know, you're not aware. No, you know. But if you know you're walking and there's ants, I can't say it's not my intention because it was called a psik reisha. Last time we didn't have time to discuss it. What's the term psik reisha? So psik reisha means literally psik reisha. This is a classical term in halacha. It's good to know this term called psik reisha. Psik reisha. Psik means sometimes it means like to stop, and here psik means to cut off. Psik, to chop off. That's what means over here. Psik. Reisha means the head. It's a funny idea brought in it's not brought as a funny thing, but it sounds funny to people. But the Gemara speaks about, and the Gemara says, it wants to describe if you're doing something on Shabbos and it's not your intention, and you're transgressing Shabbos, it's still not allowed. It's not your intention, but you are transgressing Shabbos. And the example is given that someone's going to say, so back in the days, it was a thing. It didn't have in the old days. It didn't have Toys R Us, all those big department stores. You could buy toys for the kids.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
huh?
Toys R Us?
What?
Toys R Us.
Right. There's no Toys R Us in the old days. Let me finish explaining.
Nowadays, there, I'm saying.
Right, but so in the old days, they didn't have toys. So what did kids play with? One of the things they played with was the head of the chicken. The head of the chicken was something that they would play with. So let's say someone wants to get the head of a chicken for a child to play with. So the person is going to say, let's say, okay.
Real chicken.
Well, let me bring out the point. It's a simple point I want to bring out. Someone's going to say, I'm going to chop off the head of the chicken. I don't intend to kill the chicken, but I just want the head for the child so he can play with it. But I don't intend to kill the chicken. So are we going to say, oh, that's okay on Shabbos? You're not allowed to kill an animal on Shabbos. But if it's not my intention, I'm just cutting off the head, but it's not my intention to kill the chicken, is it okay? Of course not, because and what is this psik reisha? You're going to chop off the head, v'lo yomis, it's not going to die. For sure, it's going to die. So therefore, you can't chop off the head of a chicken. right? Now, this is very obvious because you chop off the head and the chicken dies, so, but the point is, this applies to any situation. So this term, psikination, is a classical term. Whenever you want to describe something in halacha where it's not your intention, it's not your intention, but you are doing it. The act is there, that's called the psikination, and you're not allowed. So another example of psikination is, so let's say you're opening up the refrigerator. You open up the refrigerator door and the light goes on. It's not my intention to open up the light, but it's going to happen, so you're not allowed. Now, getting back to the point of it, talking about,
But, sorry, I have a question. Do you see this example you say when the lights turn on of the?
right, I'm just giving an example of psikination where it's not your intention, but the lights are going on.
But
So
The concept of it.
that's the concept of psikination. That
but-
even though it's not your intention, but it's a psikination. Psikination describes, in simple words, it means it's for sure happening. It's a definite act.
We can use it for the same concept for those things too, because that's the reason. You're saying
Anytime,
something very broad, you're saying something very.
exactly. Anytime
Because
you
it
do
fits like
something,
a certain, yeah.
you do something, you're trying, yeah, am I answering a question or you have a different question? Let me,
No.
let me hear what you're saying then.
no, my question was that the first time was the Croatia, but I don't understand that you open the refrigerator.
Yeah,
No was.
Why?
The Croatia,
every time you open the
Because
fridge,
you
the light
know.
goes on.
because you know that it's going to happen.
Does the light will turn on?
Yeah,
Yeah, so this is what she
So then
said.
before Shabbat, you have to.
It doesn't matter.
do-
Wait. It's still called a psikination. Psikination means that it's for sure happening. Psikination doesn't mean that you don't know what's happening, even if you know what's happening. If it's not your,
only that's all.
if it's not your intention
Okay,
and it's happening, it's still a psikination, even though you know it's happening. Psikination means that it's for sure happening, even though it's not your intention.
okay.
Got it?
on
That's
and
psikination.
on.
Okay, let's get back to calming here. This is a very challenging situation for women and girls with combing the hair. So try to bring out as best as possible, make it as simple. And so if you're using a regular comb on Shabbos and for sure hair is being pulled out, it's not your intention. When you comb your hair, you're trying to pull out your hair. Why would you want to pull out your hair? But that's what's happening. When you comb your hair, usually hair is being pulled out. And therefore, you cannot comb your hair in a way where it's for sure pulling out hair. If you know you could comb in a way where it's not going to for sure pull out hair, then you're okay. So actually, the best thing for combing hair is, and this is something that I know is, I thought in the past when I taught it, I thought there's like a, it's like a, there's gonna like to solve the issue. Then I got feedback later, both from you, both from my family, and they told me this doesn't really work. But I'm gonna tell you what's the ideal situation, how you're supposed to deal with it. And then, if people say they can't, I mean, we're not okaying anything, we're saying, okay, so there's the second to the best. The ideal situation is that you have a brush that's soft, a soft brush, and it has to be, and you have to do it gently, so you don't do it hard, and it has to be designated for Shabbos. So I remember in the last past when I taught it, I actually went to a store in Utica. And I checked out combs and I explained to the person what I'm looking for. And I finally got a comb that doesn't usually pull out here. And I even showed it and I showed it to my family and they were like, this doesn't work. You can't comb your hair with this. It just doesn't do the job. Yeah,
Okay, I have a question. When you say a special Shabbat, a
what
special,
I'm saying is that in Shulchan Aruch, the best way possible to keep this halacha is,
yeah,
if possible, is what it says is make sure it's a soft brush,
okay,
soft,
yeah.
and do it gently, and it should be designated for Shabbos.
I know, but I have a question.
You know, let me finish explaining the whole thing, then we'll take questions. What do we accomplish with these three conditions? So when it's soft, it's a soft brush, it shouldn't pull out here, and you do it gently, the likelihood is that it's not going to pull out here, right? Now, if you do it in a way where it's very possible it's not pulling out here, even if it does pull out here, it doesn't matter, because if it's not a psik reisha, it's not for sure pulling out here, and it's not your intention, it's okay. So that's the ideal way how to comb your hair on Shabbos. Now, let me just finish, then we'll take questions. Now, in the past, when I brought it up, the feedback I got was that these brushes don't do the job. It's a cute idea, use a soft brush, but practically, what I've been told, and I've experienced this, but I've been told that it doesn't work. It doesn't do the job. If you want to comb your hair properly, it's not doing the job. So if you absolutely feel that, I'm not saying it's okay. This is really what it says. But at least if you're not going to be doing this, at least whatever comb you have, I mean, work to clean out the comb before Shabbos and test it during the week and try to do it in a way, maybe do it a little softer, do it a little slower, and see that you're not actually pulling out here. Do it in a way, listen carefully to what I'm saying. It's a very crucial point that I'm bringing out, so listen carefully. What you want to do is, if you don't plan to use a soft brush, because we say it doesn't work, you want to use the brush that you feel works for you. So I'm saying is, during the week, take the brush, clean out all the hair. So like this, you see there's no hair inside it, right? And then brush your hair during the week, and try to brush it in a way that will find this, because this is the most important part that I want to bring out from everything else that we discussed. You brush it in a way where don't do it vigorously, don't go like, do it a little softer. And try to do it in a way where you hope you're not pulling out here. Then look at the brush. If you do it a few times and look at the brush, you say, oh, you didn't pull out any hair. Then you do it again and you see, oh, now it did pull out here. So sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. Now you're in a much better place. Because being that you're doing it in a way where you're doing it not vigorously, so there's a very strong likelihood. The likelihood is that it's not pulling out here, so it's not a psik, it's not a definite act. Also, it's not your intention, meaning you don't want it. That's an important ingredient here. That's usually there in this case, but that's part of the reason why it's permitted is because it's not for sure pulling out here. And also, you're not interested. Hypothetically speaking, just so you understand the law a little better, let's say, hypothetically speaking, it's better if hair comes out. Hypothetically, doesn't make any sense, right? But let's say, it's actually good, you want that hair should come out a little here, let's say. So even though it's not a psikonation, it wouldn't be permitted. The reason why it's permitted is also because you don't want it, you're not interested, you don't want it to hair to come out. Why do you want to pull out hair from? Combination of the fact that it's not for sure pulling out here, so this could also be fine. It's not as good as the first way. It should be a soft brush, do gently, which we're going to do now. The second way, also doing it gently, and it should be designated for Shabbos, so it doesn't go into the category of weekday activity. That is the best. But if you want to use your regular brush, so you do it as I explained it, try it out, test it. I should tell my girls also to test it.
They use a comb. Did you try a comb?
Huh?
A comb? Like those don't pull out hair. Comb
Combs.
instead of a brush. Like, let's say something that's like, your hair is like this or something, and it's not like
They
actually
don't
makeup,
pull out here?
but it's not a. Of course it doesn't. And the official combs are like they're like
It
this.
does or it doesn't?
Doesn't.
It does.
How does it? It's not something that takes out. It doesn't. It just makes it.
Okay, if it doesn't pull out here, it's no problem.
Yeah, because a brush is supposed to, I don't think this is, they know the comb, those little.
I hear you.
Does it pull
I
out?
never use these things, I don't
Because
know.
there's nothing to pull out, I'm saying,
Why not?
combs, there's, it's like the brush, it's just to go make a part or something like that, you use that.
Okay, if it doesn't pull out here, as I was saying, you test during the week and you see for yourself, it pulls out, it doesn't. You do it soft, it pulls out, try to do it a little slower and it might, again, I mean, I'm talking theory because I don't know anything about these things. But I assume that if you spend time during the week figuring it out slower, even though I understand it's not better to brush when you do it, in a certain, do it vigorously, I'm sure it comes out better, I assume. But maybe you'll figure out a way to do it, and then on Shabbos, you'll do it in a way that it's allowed. Just, it's gonna take a little more time, so you might have to spend a little more time on Shabbos, because you can't do it so fast, you have to maybe do it a few times. That's, again, this is my theory, but I don't know anything about it, so you try it out, yeah.
You said that you have to have a special brush for Shabbos. Does that mean you have to go to one of these like crown drugs?
In other
And
words, the best
wait,
way how the broad Shulchan Aruch is, that the place can bring down is, it should be a soft brush, so it won't definitely pull out here. And you do it gently. And also because it should be, in addition to that, it should be just for Shabbos. So, because some opinions say to use the same brush for Shabbos and weekday, it goes to the category of weekday activity, because being that a brush generally is something that is not permitted during the week, because it pulls out here, now you're using it on Shabbos. So it goes into certain things that in Shulchan Aruch it says that it's permitted because it's ma'aseh choil, it's a weekday activity. So the concept of ma'aseh choil, that certain things you can't do, it's weekday activity, is brought in Shulchan Aruch. Some opinions say that this also goes to the category to use the same brush from the week and Shabbos is ma'aseh choil.
Okay, I also want to clarify, when you
Yeah.
say, at the beginning you started saying comb, there's a difference between a comb and a
Started
brush.
saying what?
Comb. There's a difference between a comb, a
A comb,
comb,
okay.
a comb and a brush.
She say a comb doesn't pull out here, I don't know.
No, my question is, when you say comb, you mean comb and brush, or you'll just say, or this is only specifically for a comb? They're
When
two
I
different
say,
things.
right. So when I said comb, I wasn't being specific. Comb,
Okay.
brush, I meant, yeah, I mean, that's the best thing designated for Shabbos. Best, yeah.
Wait, can I just show you a picture of what, to clarify what you mean by soft brush? Like,
You can't see the picture if it's soft.
do what?
How could you see from the picture if it's soft?
You can see, it's
The
got.
brush? How can you?
How could you see on a picture if the comb is soft?
What about B?
Oh, I thought, then what's a soft brush? I don't think I understand what a soft brush is.
Soft
I thought it's like
means-
the bristles are soft.
Right, the bristles are soft, right, so
Oh,
how can you
okay.
see it
Do
on
you
a
mean like
picture?
this?
Oh, cause some, I don't know, I thought,
But how could you see that it's soft? You have to feel it. I'm not sure what do you get from?
cause usually they're plastic, so they're all
Plastic.
hard.
Yeah, but this
But there's
is,
like special ones that
but
are.
this is a baby brush,
Okay,
meaning that it's for like,
Okay, so-
hey, I'm saying this.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, is that what you meant?
Yeah.
you'll feel it yourself. There's nothing for me to know better than you.
I'm
You
saying,
take the brush,
when you say soft brush, you mean like, what classifies soft?
soft, it's soft enough that it's not for sure gonna be pulling here when you do it.
Okay, but
Something that's hard is gonna pull here. Why are we looking for soft? So it shouldn't pull out here, so you can see yourself, is it soft and it's not pulling out here?
I think we're trying to
That-
gauge
Okay, now it makes
Yeah.
sense.
if
Yeah.
it's worth like getting the plastic, like the ones that have the plastic bristles or the wooden bristles or like the
We'll
the
figure it
soft
ourselves.
bristles.
The soft bristles, whatever's
I'm trying,
softer,
okay,
whatever's softer,
like the fluffy ones.
right? But again, the issue is that the soft ones, what I'm hearing is that it doesn't work. Doesn't do the job, so.
I think it depends on your hair, it works for me.
Yeah,
Good,
my hair's
different hair, different, right, okay, there we go, so that's why everyone has to figure out during the week
Yeah.
what works.
I probably need an
Okay.
industrial brush to come brush my hair.
What brush that complete plastic, אפשר לשבת?
But it needs to be soft.
If it's soft, it's not about plastic, it's probably better, you have to see for yourself, if it's soft and it's not pulling out here. Try it out, תנסה בהחלט אם זה עובד, אם זה
Oh,
לא,
wait,
זה סערות.
מה זה סוף? כמו בשיער?
מה, soft זה רע. מתחילה לראות, אם זה לא נוטל שערות, זה בסדר.
אוקיי.
Yeah, I mean,
I see one.
okay, so now, yeah,
Is there anything in Shulchan Aruch, like, can you brush with your hands just like this?
Yeah, I was thinking I went through your.
why not? You're not pulling here,
Okay.
that's for sure fine.
But you're pulling hair when you take out your ponytail. Depends.
When I
right?
said pulling here, I didn't mean literally pulling here, I mean, pulling out of here from the scalp.
Oh, from the,
But-
oh. So we're talking about
The-
the brush, so let's say someone wants to.
The
brush
issue
their
is
hair.
not pulling here.
Okay.
I let it go to your friend and pull their hair. You're not pulling out of here
No,
from
no,
the,
no, when
you're
you
not
pull-
pulling out of here from the head.
I know, so you're
It's
not.
about tearing
Okay, so
out.
then you can brush the bottom, the.
If you're not tearing off here,
But
you
Okay, I
can't tear
understand.
off here. It's not pulling the hair. That's-
always pull here. I take this and just no, but
The ponytail.
So you have to-
sometimes
So you have to be careful. So you have to do it in a way that it's not for sure pulling out here.
I think
You
it's
get
pulling
it?
out things, not from the scalp, from the actual.
Whichever way, tearing here doesn't matter. Tearing here from the scalp or not from the scalp is both prohibited because you're tearing it while it's attached to the body. So it
Yeah.
doesn't matter. Whichever way is going to be issue. Right?
But even on non-jobbers, like when it pulls out the ponytail, it comes, it's pulling the hair, no?
Pulling out, you could pull out the ponytail carefully. If you pull it
Oh,
out
carefully, you're
carefully.
okay.
And you do it carefully, you make sure that you're not pulling out of here. This you maybe test it during the week, or do it slowly. If you're doing it slowly, I can't tell, you have to figure out yourself, are you pulling out of
Even
here
if
or
it's
not?
not a brush, okay.
Yeah, if you're pulling out the ponytail slowly, and you have to do very slow, careful not to pull out here, it's very important. Okay, so you also can't cut nails. Now, what happens if a person realizes on Shabbos that the nail is starting to peel off? Happens sometimes, your nail starts peeling off, so what do? Now, if it's during the week, you're like, it's very annoying, you just wanna pull it off. But it's Shabbos, you can't pull it off, so what do? Yeah,
Does it depend if it's painful or not?
correct, and it depends how much it's pulled off. So if, it depends on the following. Depends, is the majority of the nail peeled off? Or is the majority not off? You guys are following this?
Yes.
If the majority of the nail is peeled off, then in a much more lenient category. If only a little bit is torn off, there's nothing you can do. You can't do anything. Right, it's also gonna be an issue when it comes to the Netilas Yadayim, washing your hands. Discuss it soon. Well, let's first discuss about tearing off your nails. If only a little bit of the nail is torn off, not the majority. Yeah,
What's the majority?
Yoiv. Zalak miyut shalat zipayin.
Mm.
Mois hayoiv shalat zipayin. Not miyut, yeah?
Mhm.
Not miyut shalat zipayin. If only the majority, then you cannot do anything. If the majority, yeah, yoiv shalat zipayin is cut, is torn off, then there can be a leniency. And that is only, like you mentioned before, if a person is extremely uncomfortable, if you're in a lot, Shulchan describes it as if you have tzad, if you have pain, or that would also mean you're very uncomfortable. If you're very uncomfortable, then you will be allowed to take off the nail, but you can't use a nail clipper. You can only do it by hand. Because using a nail clipper is cutting it in the regular way. So it's a leniency, a combination of factors, because the majority is off, and you're in a lot of pain, and using your hand to tear it off, so now you're allowed to do it. You get it? Everyone understand this? Yeah? Vanta? Yeah? You see it?
I have two questions.
Yeah,
Does picking off, so if you have a nervous habit of picking like your fingers, not the nails, but the skin around the
the
fingers.
skin is also an issue, the cuticles is also a problem, anything that's attached to the body that's meant, that's, on the way out, the way off, is the same idea.
Okay, but nail polish you can pick off, so if you painted your nails for Shabbos as so.
Taking off nail polish, let's leave that to another class, I have to look into it more. There is an issue. There could be a problem with that.
Would it be better
We're gonna
than
get-
picking
we'll
your
get to it.
nails?
Huh?
Like, would it be better than picking the skin if like you're going to do one or the other?
And both, will be-
I think when it comes to nervous, I don't think. Like.
take off nail polish, we'll discuss in a separate class, we'll get to it, let me pull all the details now. I think there may be an issue with it. But people have a habit, it's an issue. So taking off the nails or the cuticles or loose skin to tear off is the same problem. You cannot do that on Shabbos. So the only leniency we have with tearing off the nail is if most of the nail is off and you're very uncomfortable and you're tearing it with your hands, not with the nail clipper. You cannot use a nail clipper. Now, when it comes, now there's a mitzvah before Shabbos to cut your nails. And if you cut your nails before Shabbos, you save yourself aggravation on Shabbos, because if you forget to cut your nails before Shabbos, and then your nails start tearing off, then you have problems, as we just discussed. So if you keep the mitzvah of cutting, that's not the reason why there's a mitzvah of
Do
cutting
you
nails
keep
before
this?
Shabbos, huh?
Do you keep this?
Do I keep this? Every Shabbos? I wouldn't say ever. It does say you should do it every Shabbos. Do I do it every Shabbos? No, maybe I should, but that's really the best thing. But for sure, every second week that you shouldn't come to Shabbos with long nails. It's the reason why you have to mitzvah to cut your nails, not because it might tear off, because for the honor of Shabbos, to look nice. So you cut your nails before Shabbos. But the advantage is also that if you don't, and then it starts peeling off on Shabbos, you have a problem. And you have a problem with netilas yadayim. That means, listen carefully, if your nail starts tearing off on Shabbos, and there's nothing you can do about it, because only if the majority is torn off, when we explain that there's a leniency with all the conditions. But if only the minority of the nail is off, then you cannot tear it off. And then when it comes to the netilas yadayim, to wash your hands with challah, you have an issue. What is the issue? The issue is that there's a chatzitza. You know what a chatzitza means?
No,
You ever heard the word chatzitza?
no.
The word called chatzitza. Chatzitza means an interruption. That means when you're washing your hands, you have a band-aid on your hand when you're washing your hands?
No.
No, because it's a chatzitza. It interrupts.
All your fingers.
Right, because it interrupts between the water and your hand. So this when we go to the mikveh. You can have a chatzitza on the body, it's the same idea. Nothing can be stuck to the body, so the water can get to the body. So if you have the nail peeled off a little bit, you have a chatzitza because basically, because it's only peeled a little bit, the water can't get in between the nail and the body. And you cannot, one of them, whichever hand has that issue, that hand can't be washed properly. And what you need to do then is, you need to put on a glove. You take one of those plastic disposable gloves you have in the kitchen, and you put it on your hand. You only wash one hand. This hand cannot be washed because you can't get water everywhere. So you can't, there's no point in washing the hand anyways. You only wash the hand that you're able to, and you say bracha until Sidaim anyways. But when you eat the challah, you're going to be eating the challah with a glove on. Your hand is covered when you're touching the challah. So you only need to wear the glove when you're eating the challah. You don't need to wear the glove the whole time. It doesn't. I say the glove. I'm just giving a practical suggestion. You can use. Shemar speaks about wrapping your hand with a towel or a garment. Practically, you put on a glove. The idea is that your hand should be covered when eating. Because if you can't wash a hand, there could be other situations which we're not going to go into now. The laws until Sidaim, if a person cannot wash a hand. I once had a situation where I had a cut in one of my fingers, and it was bandaged, and you can't get it wet, right? So now, if you can't get it wet, so you can't really wash the hand.
If you're washing from
Right. Yeah, but the question is, really, I could wash up to the, theoretically, if you have a band-aid on your hand, and you cannot take it off, we're going to go a little bit, maybe another class will go into more details, so Sidai will give you one situation. If you have a band-aid on the hand, let's say, and you're not supposed to take it off. You're not supposed to take it off. Doctors don't, it has to stay on. That means you want it on for now. Then it's not a chatzitz, it's not for Netilas Yadayim, it's not an interruption, because you can't take it off. You're not supposed to take it off. It's supposed to be there. You want it there. Then it would be okay if you could wash all around it and you're not worried about the band getting wet, you're fine. But if you can't get it wet, so you have to, so you're gonna be covering the band-aid, and washing around it, that means you're not washing all the way to the Band-Aid. Because if you have a Band-Aid and you're covering up so it shouldn't get wet, you're washing around it, that means you're not washing your hand all the way till the Band-Aid. Because the Band-Aid is covered to protect the Band-Aid. So you're washing a little bit away from the Band-Aid because the Band-Aid is covered. So you have that issue that the hand is not being washed properly. So there could be different situations where you can't wash one of your hands. But then what you do is you put a glove on that hand, you wash only one hand, you say until Sidayim, and when you're eating the challah, you're wearing the glove. When you finish with the challah, you can take off the glove. You don't have to sit the whole meal with the glove in your hand, only when eating the challah. Okay? Now, sometimes you will have a scab that's dried up and it's already going to fall off. So we said before, you can't pull off nails, cuticles, loose skin.
Can
What
bite nails.
shouldn't bite bite nails too? What about a scab? A scab is when I don't know how you say in Hebrew, a scab, when it starts to heal. When you have an injury that it starts to heal, and then it gets like a crust. It becomes
I
like,
can look it up on Google Translate for her.
yeah, it becomes a crust.
And it falls up by itself, or,
And then it falls apart.
or can you peel it off?
Right,
It's
so if
almost ready.
it's dried up, that it's ready to fall off, it's just a matter of time, but it's, right now, the way it is, it's so dry that it's falling off, there's no, it's
And
like,
under it's already
it's
peeled.
totally like, it's not part of you anymore, it's not like, ouch,
yeah,
it's already dried and it's going to fall off. Then you're actually allowed to take it off, because it's gonna fall off anyways. But you have to make sure that it's actually totally dried up.
Because then it
Yeah,
causes
this.
bleeding and.
This one.
That too, you can't cause bleeding, but the
Yeah.
point is, because it's dried up,
I'm saying, yeah, if it's dried up and when
if
it's not
it's
allowed.
not dried up, it can cause bleeding, that's also an issue. But even if it's not gonna cause bleeding, if it's not totally dried up, it's still connected to your body, it's like,
It's skin.
it's like you're tearing off skin. The point is, when it's totally dried, it's not really connected to your body anymore, it's just a technical thing. It didn't fall off yet, but it's totally sort of disconnected because it's totally dry. Whereas if you have loose skin, the skin is still attached to your body. Okay, so we pretty much covered the basics. Then if you have a Band-Aid sometimes, just another example, sometimes you have a Band-Aid on your body. And if there's hair underneath the Band-Aid, if there's hair there, there's hair, and you're tearing off the Band-Aid, you have to be careful because you might tear some hair with the Band-Aid, then you cannot take off the Band-Aid. If there's hair underneath it, so you have to be careful with that. Yeah, that's pretty much the halachas of geizes. If you have any questions, otherwise we go to the next halacha. I wanted to start from the labbing. Yeah,
If you have the situation with the nail, like a minority is off, so you can't take it, like.
can't
take
take it off.
Like, sometimes, they can get caught on stuff like clothes and like get ripped the whole way, so like,
What?
the nail can get caught on something and like rip, like.
You can tear the clothes, okay, the nail's here, the clothes is here,
Yeah, but like if you're
You're
putting
putting
your
it
clothes
on.
on, you like your sweater, or, I don't
and then
know.
it gets caught, okay?
Yeah, so like, is there anything you have to
So,
be
yeah,
careful
yeah,
about?
put it on carefully.
Okay, okay,
What
whatever.
you do, yeah. Again, if you keep the lips of cutting your nails every Erev Shabbos. Or even if every second Shabbos, but the mitzvah is actually every Erev Shabbos. And then you wouldn't have an issue.
One time I heard something that we can like cut the nails one day on the week. I don't remember
Right,
when.
we don't cut nails on Thursday. Thursday, in other words, starting from Wednesday night.
Yeah,
Wednesday and Thursday, we don't cut nails. Thursday night, we can already cut nails. Yeah. Okay, any other questions? By the way, the halacha of cutting nail, we said if the majority of the nail is off, you could, and you're in pain, you're very uncomfortable, you could tear up with your hand, right? Said that before? Yeah.
Yes,
That only applies to a nail, doesn't apply to skin. So if you have cuticles that are skin is torn off and mostly off, over there we're supposed to be machmer. Even if it's not comfortable, you shouldn't. You could have a non-Jew do it for you if that's feasible, let's say. But you should have done it yourself. Okay, any other questions about glazes? Okay. Next malacha, at least we'll start with malacha of melabin. Melabin is washing clothes. In the Mishkan, they would wash the wool that they use for the tapestries, they would wash it, because wool, whenever we think about wool, we think of it as wool is such a nice material. Wool is so nice and clean. It comes from an animal, the wool, and it's so beautiful and clean wool, right? When it comes off the animal, it's filthy. They have to wash it. And they used to wash it before they use it for the tapestries of the Mishkan. So anything that was done in the Mishkan is prohibited.
Can you put that word
Yeah.
on the board, please?
So that's, we have the malacha of melabing, which is washing material. So everyone knows you can't wash on Shabbos, but the prohibition is washing clothes, material. Doesn't apply to washing the table. And there's ways how to do it, but washing glasses, it's a washing material. Now, in the malacha, of washing, there's 3 stages in the malacha. Stage 1 is like in the washing machine. Have you looked in the washing machine? There's different cycles. There's the soak, right? So the soak cycle. Soak, and then there is spin, and then there is rinse. Know what it's called?
Yeah.
But because it's actually not just rinsing, it's more than that. Soak. Soak. Spin. It's called wash. Spinning that. Soak. Spin. And then rinse. Sometimes it says wash, but no.
Yeah.
The one is wash. Okay. So the first one is soak. What soak is just the fact. So just the fact that you're making the garment wet, then itself is called washing. So if I have a garment that's dirty, and I pour water on it or other detergents, whatever, to clean it, but it's not clean yet. I just poured water on it. I didn't clean it. Did I transgress Shabbos? Yes, because that already begins to clean it. But then the spin is where it sort of like scrubs it. So to take a garment and scrubbing it with liquid on it to clean the garment, that's also prohibited. But then you have rinse. Rinse is a cycle where the washing machine squeezes out the material, squeezes out the water from the material. So when it squeezes out the water from the material, that's also cleaning the garment. Because even though you could say it's already clean, but it's not 100%. And when the cycle goes and it squeezes out the water from the material, there is also an act of washing the garment. So in other words, if you have a material that's clean, now let's say someone washed it on Shabbos, yeah? Or way before Shabbos, whatever, and it's wet. And if someone goes at Shabbos and squeezes it out, what did he transgress? He transgressed the malacha of washing clothes. It's washed already. Yeah, but when you squeeze it out and you squeeze it all the water from the material, that also is part of the process of cleaning clothes. So these are the 3 ways of transgressing Shabbos with the malacha of washing clothes. Yeah.
So you mentioned that there has to be liquid with each of them.
Has to be what?
Liquid, you've mentioned that. So if you have you notice you have dried baby spit up on you, can you scratch it off or no?
Right, so I was gonna get to that, but I might as well just explain it now, right? So the prohibition is specifically when you're scrubbing, when it's wet. If you are scratching off, but not scrubbing, so it was gonna come later, but I'll just explain the basic of it now, you already asked now. If your garment is dirty, the question is, could I take my nail and scratch it off? According to the Alter Rebbe, it seems that you're allowed. But only with your nail, not scrubbing. Scratching, not scrubbing. There's a difference. When you take material and you scratch it, so when you're scratching off, what do you do? If you're not using any liquid, It's not called washing clothes, because washing clothes means when you're using water to wash out the dirt. But if you have dirt stuck to the top of the garment and you're scratching it off, you're removing dirt that's stuck to the top of the garment, that's okay. It's not every situation of not using liquid is okay. It's got very specific, we're gonna get to it. So if you're scratching off with your finger, that's okay, but you cannot scrub. You can't go like this,
Oh, yeah.
just scratch, very scratching, like
Yeah,
this,
you can't take water.
even without water,
Yeah,
you
you can't go like this.
you can't go like this.
No, you can't take this or
Even,
whatever.
even without water, I can't go like this.
It's-
There's no water, I can't do
I
that.
don't know why.
Because that's a form, because then you're already getting into the fiber, you're already getting out from the fiber of the garment. But when you're scratching off, that means you're focusing more on the surface. So the definition of cleaning clothes is washing out from the material, not what's stuck on top of it.
That's right.
So that's why when you're just scratching off the surface, that's okay. The scrubbing, you're
Yeah, I
getting more,
remember, yeah,
right, in the scrubbing, you're getting more into the material.
I never knew why, because when I told that, I was like, you can't do this, like, no, like, even if I say dirt or I say, I don't know, on Shabbos meals, I got something on my clothing. You can't even touch it at all, like, if, let's say something will come whenever it starts.
You can't scrub
You
it.
can't go like this and try to take it off like that, I mean, yeah, you can't do that.
You
I know
can't
it's
scrub it, but there are,
Why?
scrubbing, because that's cleaning, because that's a form of cleaning the garment, because when you're scrubbing the material too.
The
You-
crumb or whatever off your.
You're getting something out from the material, but if you just take your fingernail and you're very specific, and it stayed in, you're going to scratch off, you're focusing on the dirt, and you're scratching off the dirt itself, that is
It's
okay.
just like, taking it away, just kind of like scratching it.
It's, because you're not scrubbing,
Yeah, you're taking it with your nail.
right, because scrubbing, you're already getting into the fiber of the garment.
It's rubbing it in into the garment.
Because you're rubbing the garment,
Exactly.
it's getting out from the garment.
Yeah,
Scratching, you're just scratching off the surface.
if
So
this is
you
the
just get-
material, you can't stop
Right.
rubbing all the material.
Exactly. Okay, continuation on Friday.
Thank you.
Thank you. Then the holidays of Yom Kippur is a big one.
Huh?
Yom Kippur, yeah, so.
Oh,
I was thinking how much is it in this Shabbos? Yom Kippur, oh my goodness, I got it on. So many things, you know,